Welcome to class first. Okay, for this unit fourth last unit. So you are having the electrical property survey. Okay, this will start with the survey of electrical property, survey of electrical properties. Okay, in solid and materials in solid state chemistry, solid state chemistry. So this is how it follows your unit 4 followed by superconductivity. Okay, so this is what before that the electrical properties in solids, if we go for the survey of this. Okay, so the best thing, the basic thing comes is a good conductor. You know this all the basic things. Okay, so these are the solids which allow, okay, these are the solids which allow the electricity to pass, the electricity to pass, okay, through them, pass through them. So they are called as the good conductors. Okay, and the conductivity range, if you see, conductivity range, if you see of this, it is 10 to the power of 6 to 10 to the power of 8, okay, per ohms per centimeter, per ohm per centimeter. So this is what about the good conductors. Okay, so in this we can see the two types, that is your metallic conductor and your electrolytic conductor, electrolytic conductor. Okay, so metallic conductor and electrolytic conductor, we come across here in the conductance. Okay, good conductors, I can say. Now if you see the metallic conductor, it is due to motion of free electrons, motion of free electrons. Okay, that's why it's also called as electronic conductor, electronic conductor. But in this electrolytic conductor, so this is because of the motion of, this is because of the motion of free ions. Okay, so free ions, and that's why it is also called as ionic conductor. It is also called as ionic conductor. So this is the difference between electrolytic conductor and metallic conductor here. Okay, now this metallic conductor, in this is a good conductor. This becomes a good conductor. Okay, this metallic conductor, this becomes a good conductor in solid state as well as molten state, in solid as well as molten state. We call as a good conductor for this metallic conductor in solid, if it conducts in a solid as well as the molten state. And if we see in the electrolytic conductor, we say it's a good conductor, we say it's a good conductor. Okay, if it is if it is having you can say in solid, okay, in aqueous medium or in molten state, in molten state. Okay, however in solid state it acts a bad conductor, bad conductor. Okay, so this you have to think, electrolytic conductor will be a bad conductor in solid state. Okay, why? Because no ions will be in the motion there, and you can see it is a bad conductor. But in molten state or in the aqueous solution, so this becomes a good conductor. Okay, so electrolytic conductor becomes a good conductor. For example, you can see NaCl or KBr, okay, etc. So these things, and here you can take example of iron, metallic conductor iron, okay, aluminium, silver, copper, etc. Okay, like this. These are some of the this is how we can see the difference between the metallic conductor as well as the electrolytic conductor. We can differentiate in this way. Now if we go for the effect of temperature, this is very much important, effect of temperature. So what happens in the effect of temperature here? So as you increase, okay, the temperature, so here the conductivity, we first will see of this metallic conductor, the conductivity of metallic conductor MC I'm mentioning here, decreases, okay, with increase in temperature. Okay, usually if we increase the temperature, the conductors also increase, but in metallic conductor, in metals, it decreases. It's inversely proportional here. Why? Because you see, if metal is there, they are made up of the movement of the electrons. Okay, and with that you can see there are positive holes is in between, like this. Okay, these positive holes, it is called as kernels, is called as kernels. As you increase the heat, as you increase the temperature, what happens, these kernels start vibrates. they start vibrating. Okay, when they starts vibrate, they hinder the free motion of electrons, and that's why conductance decreases. So that is the main in the metallic conductor here. So as you increase the temperature, the conductance decreases here. Okay, but if you see in electrolytic conductor, I will write EC here. Electrolytic conductors, as you increase the temperature, as you increase temperature, conduction also increases. See, okay, so why here conductance increases? Because, okay, here it increases because you can see the bond between the ions break here. As you increase the temperature, the bond between ions, okay, breaks. This is what means. That means you can say that there is a decrease in interionic attraction. There is decrease in interionic attraction between the ions. Okay, and that's why the mobility will increase, and mobility increase, so conductance increases. So this happens in electrolytic conductor, and it is opposite in metallic conductor. Okay, so this is what you have to keep in the mind. Okay, metallic conductor. And one more thing, in metallic conductor there is no chemical changes occur. So there is no chemical change is seen in metallic conductor, but in ionic conductor you can see, electrolytic conductor, you can see that chemical changes occurs. Okay, chemical changes you can see seen or occurs. Okay, so this is what. Now this is what about the introductory part of this electrical properties in solids. Okay, conduction. Now if you go for the next, that is your bad conductors. This is nothing all everybody knows. Okay, bad conductor, or we call as insulators. We call this as a insulators. Okay, so what are these bad conductors, insulators? These are the solids which doesn't allow electricity, which doesn't allow electricity. This doesn't allow the electricity to pass through them. Okay, so this is what. And here the conduction range, if you see in insulators, very less, 10 to the power of minus 12 per ohms per centimeter. Minus 12, very less, negligible. Okay, no conduction. So example, you can take glass, rubber, okay, wood, plastic, etc. So these are some of the examples of the bad conductors, or we can say it as the insulators. Okay, so it will not happen. Next, the last is semiconductors. You know that in semiconductors, okay, so this substance is where the electrical conductivity, these are something where the electrical conductivity lies between that of the conductor and insulator. That of the conductor and insulator. The conductivity, electrical conductivity lies that between the conductor and that of the insulator. Okay, so this is what that I can say in the range of 10 to the power of minus 2 to minus 9. 10 to the power of 2, I will write once again here, 2 minus 9 per ohms per centimeter. So like this. Okay, so this is what about the range of the semiconductors here. Okay, and example you know well, that is your silicon, germanium. Okay, germanium, silicon, or sometimes zinc sulfide, cadmium sulfide, aluminum phosphorus, etc. So these are some of the example of the semiconductors. Okay, so okay, fine. Now if you see the effect of temperature, in same thing as in metallic conductor and what is that electrical conductor, we have seen the same thing in semiconductors. The conductance of semiconductor increases with increase in temperature. This is very much important. Okay, increases with the increase in temperature. So this is what similarly. Okay, so because here the semiconductors usually is due to the electrons, due to the motion of the electrons or the holes. Okay, semiconduction is because of these two criteria here. And therefore if we increase the temperature, what will happen? There will be the movement of the electrons as well as the holes, and the more movement of the electrons and the holes, you can see that the semiconductors will be more. Okay, so that's why temperature plays important role. At normal temperature also they conduct, and that's why they are called as semiconduction, silicon and all. Okay, so like this. So but, and that's why these semiconductors are classified two types, that is your intrinsic, you know that, and extrinsic. Okay, intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors. Okay, this intrinsic semiconductors, we know that it's called as pure semiconductors. Okay, this is a pure semiconductors. And here in intrinsic semiconductors like silicon, germanium, the number of electrons present here is equal to number of holes. Okay, so equilibrium is maintained here. So number of electrons, whatever is present in this, is equal to number of holes. Okay, that's why it is very pure. Okay, and like the silicon, germanium, etc. But in extrinsic semiconductor, you can see here in extrinsic semiconductor we call impure. It is a impure type. Okay, and here the number of electrons is not equal to number of holes. Okay, how many electrons are present in that substance specimen is not equal to holes. That's why we call it as a we call it this as a impure here, and that's why we go for doping here. What is this doping in this impure extrinsic? So to increase the conduction, now to increase the conduction, usually this doping is done. Okay, and this is a process of adding. Doping is a process of adding some foreign impurities. Okay, so we are adding some foreign impurities here to increase the conduction, to increase the conductance of semiconductors. Okay, of semiconductors. This is what happening, and this impurities what we are adding, they are called as dopants. Okay, they are called as dopants. Whatever the impurities we are adding, we call it as a dopants. DOPANTS. Okay, so this is what we do for the extrinsic semiconductors. Okay, so impurity level is very much important here. So that what we do here, and what are the impurities level we add here is that of group wise, that is your group 13, then you say group 14 and group 15 elements. Okay, so these act as impurities we are going to add into the semiconductors. Okay, so you know that group 13 elements, boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium. Okay, so these are having how many valence electron? They are having 3 valence electron. Then 3 valence electron, and with that how many holes they are having? Then they were having 5 holes. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is what the condition of this group 13 elements. If you see group 14 elements like carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Okay, so they are having 4 valence electron, and how many holes? 4 holes. Like this is a condition. Okay, and last 15th group elements like your nitrogen family, nitrogen, silicon, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Okay, so they are having 5 valence electron plus 3 holes. Okay, totally 8 it should be octet structure. So this is how this group 13, 14, 15 elements we are using in the doping system here. Okay, we are using this in the doping system here. Okay, so this thing you have to keep in the mind here. Now the types, if you see here in this extrinsic where we are doping here, so there is 2 types. You type is N type semiconductors and your P type semiconductors. Okay, P types. N type, it's usually N types is negative. Okay, N means what? Negative. It is electrons, negative type, and P means what? Positive. Holes, positive type semiconductors. This is what we can see here. Now here the conduction is due to negative charge electrons. Here the conduction is due to negative charge electrons. This is important here. Now if you see the how it works, silicon, we are going to take this silicon here, one skeleton part of the silicon here, like this. Okay, so they are having 4 valence electron and they are bound in this way. Okay, so like this. Okay, and if you want to N type, if for N type means what? Electrons. So that should be, now if I remove this one silicon, if I remove this one silicon here, now what will happen? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 8 silicon will be there. 8 fours are 32 electrons. Okay, 8 fours are 32 electrons will be present here. Okay, 32 electrons and 32 holes, right? So this is what happens here. Now what if I remove this one silicon here and place this with now phosphorus pentavalent, no, for dopants I will go dope with this dopant. Okay, phosphorus contains how many electron here? So phosphorus contains 5 electron, no? So it becomes how much? 5 electrons from phosphorus and 3 holes. If you combine this, it becomes 5 6 7 37 electrons and 3 4 35 holes. Okay, this is a condition for this what you say, the n-type semiconductors when you dope with phosphorus. Okay, so you are ending with 37 electrons and 35 holes. Okay, so in this case you can see the electrons are in major, so they are in major, so electrons is more here. That's why we call it negative dope, negative type of semiconductors. Why? Because it is, the conduction is due to electrons here, because electrons are majoritically high and holes are minor, so minor holes is less. So this is what the condition when pentavalent impurity like phosphorus is added into this n type of semiconductor. So they give the electricity or electric conduction because of the electrons. Similarly, if I place this with aluminium, so I will write same thing here: silicon, 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 and all I can bond this with 4 because it's having the 4 valence electron here like this, so it becomes a network of silicon body. Okay, skeletal structure. Now if I remove again here one of the silicon, okay, missing here, missed here, and if this I replace with now aluminium. Okay, now at present it is having again 32, 8 4s are 32 electrons, 32 holes. Okay, now aluminum, I am doping with aluminum here, so aluminum means what, 3 electrons, is it right? So aluminum is having 3 electrons, and how many holes? 5 6 7, 5 holes. Okay, and it will result to what now? 3 4 5, 35 electrons, and how many holes? 5 6 7, 37 holes. Now which is dominating here, which is major here? 37 holes, that is holes is major here and this is minor. So that is why the conduction in p type is because of holes, that is your positive hole, that's why it is called as positive type. And here the conduction is due to holes, and here the conduction is due to electrons. Okay, so here we are adding the pentavalent impurity, and here we are adding the what you say, trivalent impurity here. So this is what about the, you can say, the what you say, the n type and p type of conduction in the semiconductors. Okay, now this conductance is whatever the electrons, the conductions due to the electrons, okay, they are in the forward direction, so whatever forward direction, and the conductions due to this holes we call it as the backward direction. Okay, so they are in the backward direction. Okay, there are some of the semiconductors like zinc sulfide. Okay, if you see, so they are also called as 1216 compounds. Okay, they are also called as 1216 compounds. What are these 1216 compounds? Because group 12, that is your zinc, and group 16, that is of oxygen, okay, that is your sulfur. So this type of combination we call it as a 1216 type of semiconductors. Okay, similarly, and even if you see valence electron here, so zinc 6 from sulfur, valence electron zinc 2, 6 plus 2 6 7 8 divided by 2, if you do 4, so average 4 electrons you are going to get. That is a condition for super semiconduction. So that's why this acts as semiconductors similarly. Okay, similarly there are one more category of compound, that is 13 15 compounds. Okay, 13 15 compounds means group 13 with group 15. Okay, so this is how we can take here, and example 13 means aluminum and 15 means phosphorus. We can take aluminum, phosphorus again. Okay, valence electron for aluminum is 3 plus phosphorus is 5 divided by 2, 5 6 7 8, 8 divided by 2 again 4, which is a suitable condition for your semiconduction. So that's why this is also a semiconductors. Okay, so sometimes in this they ask as a 12 16 semiconductor or 13 15 semiconductor. So this is how we say it here. It depends on the elements, or the elements present, dopants present in the skeletal. Okay, so this is how we can do it here. Now band theory it comes, I think this you are in the second semester we have learned the band theory of this semiconduction, where if you take a band here, so valence band, okay, and conduction band, valence band and conduction band. Okay, so when it is overlapping without any gap here, so we call it very good conductors, we call it as a very good conductors. And if you can see the valence band is having somewhat overlap, small forbidden, this is a forbidden gap. Okay, this is a forbidden gap. Okay, very less. This is your valence band where you can see the holes or electrons are there. This is your conduction band. So we call this as a semiconductors, as a semiconductors. And in insulators you can see if this is a valence band, conduction band is this. okay, and difference, the forbidden gap is more here, okay, 7 electron volt somewhat, so big gap will be there. And if this is here, when gap is big between the valence band and conduction band here, so the promotion of the electrons from valence band to conduction band is highly impossible because of big gap or forbidden gap. So we call as insulators, we call as a insulators. And in some and the semiconductors, you can see the gap is in between the conductor and the insulator. So this is how small band theory, we explained this already. We have learned this in MSc second year, okay, in second semester. So regarding this band theories and all, so I think this is not much needed now to explain more here, okay. So here, this is a basic electrical properties of the solid, okay. And we will see some, if it comes in the major in some of more, so we'll include that also, okay. So next is your superconductivity, superconductance or superconductivity, okay. What is this? This is nothing but resistance, okay. This is nothing but your resistance, okay, to the flow of electrons, resistance to flow of electrons. So every conductor has its own resistance, okay. And this resistance depends on the length, area, okay, and temperature of conductor, temperature at which the conductor is working, and is given by resistance rho L. I will take it L here, T by A, like this, okay, where the resistance is nothing but rho is a distributive of conductive, okay, distributive of conductance, which is a constant, L is length, okay, and T is temperature, and A is area, so this is what happens between the resistance is important. For example, if you take the graph like this, if you take the graph of resistance, which is in ohms, and with the temperature here, which is in kelvins, if you take the conductors, so it very decreases slowly, okay, as temperature decreases, conduction also decreases, like this, and it comes to here, okay. Still you can see there is a resistance, till there is a resistance here, okay. This is a normal conductor, this is a normal conductor. As you decrease the temperature, the resistance also decreases, like this, and at the most it comes to here, where it is not coming to zero, still the resistance is there here. And because it can, if result of some impurities, okay, so normal conductors do have some light impurities, and that's why the resistance is in this way. But if you take semiconductor, same thing here, as you decrease temperature, it also decreases resistance here, but at one point it come to like this is your zero, it comes to 0 Kelvin, okay, like this, okay. It touches the zero here. For example, if you take mercury, it is at 4.2 Kelvin, at 4.2 Kelvin this touches to zero resistance, okay. So this type of resistivity which touches the zero here, so we call it as a superconductivity, we call it as a superconductivity. Now we are learning at superconductivity, yes, superconductivity. So this is called as superconductivity here, okay. And this temperature at which the resistance points out to zero is called TC, that is your critical temperature, we call it as a critical temperature, or even transition temperature, where the normal conductor is converted to superconductor. So we call it a transition temperature or critical temperature. So this superconductance was first discovered by Heike Kamerlingh Ohm, okay. He was the first in 1911, okay. He was the first to determine mercury semiconductor here, which shows that TC at 4.2 Kelvin. So this is what, okay, so this is what about the superconductor here. Now if you want to define the superconductivity, what is the superconductivity? It is a phenomena, okay. It is a phenomena in which the electrical resistance of a specimen, of a given specimen, okay, of a metal or alloy, falls suddenly, okay, to zero on cooling, okay. that's what it is extremely at a low temperature, I can say, on cooling to extremely low temperature. That's a 4.2 Kelvin we say. Okay, so this we call it as a superconductivity. So that is a phenomenon in which the electrical resistance of a specimen of a metal or alloy falls suddenly to the zero on cooling on cooling or extremely to a low temperature. So that we call it as a superconductivity. And what are superconductors? Now what are superconductors? This is conductivity. Now, what are superconductors? Superconductors are the nothing but the substance which show superconductivity at low temperature. Superconductivity at low temperature. See, at low temperature. Okay, so this is what about the I think today's video. So we will stop at here itself. Okay, so we have seen that today we have seen some of the basic survey of the electrical properties in the solid band theory, okay, which already are learned in the second semester. Okay, and we need not go for a deep into this band theory, then followed by introductory part of the superconductors. Okay, so in the next video we'll go for the type 1, type 2 type of superconductivity. Thank you.